So the United States is now actively backing a coup in Venezuela. This is hilarious because we spend half the time in this country melting down over the idea of election meddling. And then, I'm not kidding, our president just casually tweeted, maybe while he was taking a shit, and just declared a foreign government is no longer exists. We don't recognize that government. So you're tweeting a coup in under 280 characters. Not only does that violate international law, it's like comical in how much it violates international law. Now, I want to be clear about everything in this segment. Don't misconstrue anything I'm saying as a defense of Maduro or the Venezuelan government, okay? That's not the point. In the same way, it's not the point to defend Saddam Hussein in 2002 when everybody was like, so we're going to go to war, right? We're going to topple this guy, right? If you said back then, you know what? I don't think we should. There was an immediate straw man argument against you where they said, I guess you think Saddam did nothing wrong. And it was bullshit then. It's bullshit now. So every argument that I'm making is not at all a comment on Maduro, not at all support of the Venezuelan government. I simply don't support the Venezuelan government by any stretch of the imagination. What I'm commenting on is our willy-nilly total violation of international law in the most flippant way possible. So we undermine our own ability. Like, we can never again argue that, we have to do regime change in country X, Y, or Z, because this country is a rogue state. They're not following international law and international norms. So therefore, they're ripe for regime change. Okay, by that logic, can the fucking Grand Ayatollah in Iran say to us, hey, listen, the U.S. is out of fucking control. They're tweeting foreign governments out of existence. You can't do that. You're a rogue state. You know what? We no longer recognize Donald Trump as the rightful president in the United States of America. In fact, he kind of lost the popular vote, and Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. We recognize Hillary Clinton as the leader. Okay, fine. You don't want to recognize Hillary Clinton? Well, we recognize the Speaker of the House as the real president of the United States. Can other foreign governments do that to us? No. So why the fuck should we be able to do that to Venezuela or anybody? Or anybody? There's no, like, back in the day, they would at least give you some bullshit along with their viciousness and their warmongering, where they'd pretend there'd be a veneer, a facade of, who, us? Or we're just trying to fucking uphold human rights. That's what we do about human rights, bro. That's why we're bombing everywhere, human rights, bro. But now it's like, oh, we're going to fucking drop that completely and just tell you, we don't like you. Your government doesn't exist anymore. What? What? Then why even have the UN? Why even have international law? Why even pretend like the Geneva Convention matters or the Nuremberg Tribunal matters or even the fucking Magna Carta matters or the U.S. Constitution? Why even pretend that then? Like, let's just go back to the old school. Let's fucking dress like Vikings and act like Vikings and just fucking invade places and pillage and have no rules and just act like tribalist idiots, because that's what they're fucking doing. What, because he wears a suit and tie, it's different? Okay, so here's what Trump said about Venezuela. The citizens of Venezuela have suffered for far too long. Oh yeah, I know, you care so deeply about the citizens of Venezuela. At the hands of the illegitimate Maduro regime, today I have officially recognized the president of the Venezuelan National Assembly, Juan Guaido, as the interim president of Venezuela. We're supposed to believe that you give a fuck about Venezuelans? You don't even care about Americans, bitch! Kids are being poisoned in Flint, Michigan right this second. They don't even have clean water over there. 32,000 to 45,000 Americans die every year because they don't have access to basic health care. By the way, that number's going up. The number of uninsured people. We have a story later on in this show about how the number of uninsured people is going up. The UN had a report that found that there are third world diseases like hookworm that are popping up in rural places in Alabama and elsewhere because we have such extreme poverty. half of workers in America make $30,000 a year or less. 76% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. You can't even fund your own fucking government. We have TSA workers not getting paid. 800,000 federal workers not getting paid. They have to go to fucking food banks to make sure that they eat. And you're going to tell me you care about Venezuelans? Try caring about Americans, you fuckhead. You lying piece of shit. Jesus fucking Christ. Who believes this shit? Who believes this? Are you insane? Who falls for this stupid propaganda? Holy shit, this is so dumb. This is the country. We live in a country where a goddamn reality show host is pretending to care about Venezuelans so business interests could do a fucking coup so we could jack their oil. That's what this is about. That's exactly what this is about. Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world. You're fucking crazy if you think this is about anything else but that. All we want to do is control their markets. Care about Venezuelan civilians. Oh, please, if you cared about Venezuelan civilians, you would not be sanctioning them right now out the wazoo, which you are doing. That's exactly what you're doing. The West has put crippling sanctions on Venezuela. Now, again, I want to be clear. That doesn't mean I'm defending Maduro. I don't like the Venezuelan government. But you also can't deny the fucking devastating impact that sanctions have on Venezuelan civilians. So we put insanely crippling sanctions on various economies. We do it for Venezuela. We do it for Iran. And then what do? In the most disingenuous way imaginable, we turn around and go, oh, see, obviously we're right. These regimes are so bad that they're collapsing. In part because of your fucking sanctions. You make them collapse and then you sell yourself as the solution when everybody knows all you want to do is jack their resources. Everybody knows that. Anybody who's paying attention knows that. Anybody who doesn't have a fucking mush where their brain is supposed to be knows that. Oh, it's so disingenuous. Yeah, sure, we collapsed your economy, and then we pretend like, well, I guess you're just bad at this, and this is why we need to pick your leader. Oh, is that how democracy works? As they fucking destroy a country, they're like, all we care about is democracy. If all you cared about was democracy, you wouldn't be declaring the fucking leader in a tweet, now would you? Oh my God, these guys are such liars. All right, enough of me ranting. Take a look at Mike Pence's condescending statement on this.
Hola, I'm Mike Pence, the Vice President of the United States. And on behalf of President Donald Trump and all the American people, let me express the unwavering support of the United States as you, the people of Venezuela, raise your voices in a call for freedom. Nicolas Maduro is a dictator with no legitimate claim to power. He's never won the presidency in a free and fair election, and he's maintained his grip of power by imprisoning anyone who dares to oppose him. The United States joins with all freedom-loving nations in recognizing the National Assembly as the last vestige of democracy in your country, for it's the only body elected by you, the people. As such, the United States supports the courageous decision by Juan Guaidó, the President of your National Assembly, to assert that body's constitutional powers, declare Maduro a usurper, and call for the establishment of a transitional government. As you make your voices heard tomorrow, on behalf of the American people, we say to all the good people of Venezuela, Estamos con ustedes. We are with you. We stand with you. And we will stay with you until democracy is restored and you reclaim your birthright of libertad. Muchas gracias. Y vayan con Dios.
This slimy, sniveling weasel is acting like he gives a fuck about anything except controlling markets, doing the bidding of his donors. Listen, man. Let me give you the more detailed plan. Here's what's going to happen now, because we already know, we've seen this unfold. So in response to the U.S. just tweeting out of existence the Venezuelan government, Maduro says, okay, now I have to expel U.S. diplomats because you're not recognizing me as a legitimate government, so U.S. diplomats have 72 hours to get out of the country. Okay? totally expected, by the way. If you're just going to tweet a government out of existence, that's what they're going to fucking do. They're going to say, oh, all right, well, your diplomats have to go because I am the leader of this country. So tough cookies, you have to get out. You know what happened in response? The U.S. government announced, no, our diplomats aren't leaving. What? Yeah, our diplomats aren't leaving. They're staying there. Okay, well then what happens after 72 hours? They're there illegally, so if they get detained, then what happens? Boom. You have all the justification and rationalization you need for the U.S. to actually do a military takeover. Now, whether that's, backing people in the country to militarily take over the government, or whether that's literal U.S. boots on the ground or U.S. air power, that's yet to be seen. But we probably will see it because it's probably going to unfold. It's probably going to happen. But that's the plan. The plan is willy-nilly declare a government no longer exists because we say so. Because we get to control the world and fuck international law and might makes right and you have to listen to what we say. Tough cookies. So do that. Then when they say, all right, well, I'm going to have to expel your diplomats, you say, no. By the way, you're putting the diplomats in harm's way on purpose. You're using them as pawns for a geopolitical power move, power play. So you put them in danger. If they get arrested, if they get touched, that's all that the U.S. needs to then play the victim. Oh my God, big bad Venezuela. Say it with me, folks. Radical Venezuelan terrorism. We have to attack Maduro over there before he attacks us over here. Then they'll pretend like this is totally defensive in nature. What do you mean? They fucking arrested our diplomats. What are we supposed to do? We have to go in. We have to bomb them. We have to back a fucking military coup. Listen, if you don't know, you could be forgiven for not getting this issue right if you don't know U.S. history in South America. But once you learn U.S. history in South America, and if you still don't get it, you have a cinder block where your head is supposed to be. Because we don't give a fuck about human rights. We don't give a fuck about democracy. We don't give a fuck about freedom. We don't give a fuck about civilians. We care about power. We care about controlling markets. We care about maintaining our control as the world's sole superpower. And anybody who bucks that trend, bitch, we're going to topple your ass. And the final point I want to make on this, I mean, you just saw Mike Pence's fucking condescending ass like, hola, me so care deeply about you, essays. Oh, God. So, here's the one fact that you need to know. Just, it unmasks everything, and it shows you that it's utter bullshit what we're doing here. Take a look. U.S. backs 73% of the world's dictatorships. So let me get this straight. We care so deeply about freedom and democracy that we're going to topple this government, just declare it doesn't exist anymore. Meanwhile, at the same time, we're backing 73% of the world's dictatorships. It's not about freedom, it's not about democracy, it's about power, it's about dominance, it's about controlling markets, it's about jacking natural resources. That's what it's about. It's not a question, that's what it's about. If we really cared so much about democracy, thing number one we would do is say, hey, listen, to all the fucking dictatorships that we're backing, we're only going to continue to support you if you become democracies. We're going to cut off all aid, all funding to you unless you become democracies. You have to become democracies, then we'll back you because we care so much about democracy. No, we're not doing that. We're propping up dictatorships. We are in bed with Saudi frickin' Arabia. You kidding me? And at the same time, we pretend like we care about democracy. It's obviously not about democracy. You know it's not about democracy. I know it's not about democracy. Again, anybody paying attention knows it's not about democracy. So let's stop pretending like any of this has any legitimacy. Again, this is not a comment in any way, shape, or form on Maduro, on the Venezuelan government. I don't support the Venezuelan government. I don't support Maduro. It's not about that. It's about, do we actually have a rules-based, principle-based world system? Now, the answer is no. But perhaps I'm naive. I think we should have a system like that. I think when we say, here's an international law, the law is supposed to apply across the fucking board, and we don't get to say, we're better than you, we're above it. American exceptionalism. So rules don't apply to us, we get to do whatever the fuck we want. Then stop pretending like we're this beacon of hope and freedom. It's like the disingenuousness is what gets me. Okay? And here we are. Again, it's amazing to me. We get involved trying to overthrow a government willy-nilly via tweet. as if we care about Venezuelans. Meanwhile, our own country's fucking imploding. Our infrastructure gets a grade of D+. You don't think we have shit to take care of here at home? It's all such bullshit, man. And I'm going to get to a story in a little bit that kind of, I wouldn't say proves the specific reason why we're doing this, but it's close to proving it. It's a giant piece of evidence as to what the real motivations are. But there you have it. We're pretending to give a fuck about Venezuelans and being the world police yet again. And Donald Trump is going back on half the shit he said on the campaign trail. You know, half the time he said, oh, what are we doing? We're not going to stop policing the world, going to stop nation building, going to stop getting involved in other countries, we're going to rebuild our own country. Well, that's not true. Turns out you're the neocon's neocon, and you're a fucking idiot.